Hello, my lords and ladies. I'm BaronVonCHAOS at your service, and today we're talking about a medieval zombie apocalypse. So, oftentimes we see in the media and fiction, The Walking Dead, zombies, Left 4 Dead, Resident Evil, it's all this sort of zombies. But there's never really a medieval zombie apocalypse, like show or game. I mean, Warhammer has zombies in it, and the show Kingdom on Netflix has zombies in the Korean War, not during the Korean dynasties, but it's never taken place in Europe. So I'm here to talk about my own scenario, my prediction of how would a zombie apocalypse happen. So here is where it's likely to begin, in Italy, specifically at the town of Genoa. So the scenario is it takes place in 1337, so right at the start of the 100 Years' War between England and France. And the plague just starts, the zombie apocalypse. It then spreads across Italy, of course, though all the other countries are safe for now, but word spreads of this plague coming across the land. So here's where the plague is likely to go, the red. The Greco areas, Germany, Netherlands, France, Spain, and a bit of, the East, maybe. Russia, Denmark, and all these other countries, as well as England, Scotland, and Ireland, are likely to be safe. Corsica, this island down here, and the southern Italic states down here, I think this is where the Italo-Normans are. So they're likely to be safe as well, mainly because of the whole sea being, divided land. And the only reason it does not spread to England is, I've actually made a story about this one, my own little story. The English started to take notice of the plague, mainly after a small outbreak occurs in London, and so the king orders all ships on the coast to be sunk. Civilian, military, any ship, doesn't matter. All ships dead, murdered. No plague is getting to England. Not today. Local lords, knights, and their retinues rallied together to fight against the oncoming undead horde, as Europe was engulfed in fighting. The undead needed no supplies or food. They marched continually. Soon they swarmed the local lords and their retinues. An unending tide of flesh and blood. Nothing could halt the undead horde effectively. Even with plate armor, the knights were falling back. The common peasant man was slaughtered and risen again to aid the undead army. While most of the undead plagued the rest of Europe, a great portion of them managed to make their way to England. They stopped at the London harbour and took over a good portion of the city. And then they made their way to the next part, across the London Bridge. The undead swarmed into the city of London and infected a large part of the city. With thousands of civilians being displaced, the king's royal knightly halberdiers marched to meet them upon the London Bridge. The knights and their personal retinues of longbowmen and men-at-arms held the undead at London Bridge. And it was at this point that the king took the undead threat seriously, and all shipping into England was halted. Any ships that came close to the shores were sunk brutally. Alrighty, so now we're talking about the equipment and all the goodness of medieval life. The knight. the men-at-arms, the soldier, in the zombie apocalypse. How is this going to change? Well, plate and chainmail are going to be a massive emphasis. Mines are going to start ramping up production of metal. Blacksmiths are just going to be producing chainmail left and right. Plate armor will still be reserved mostly for knights, but the role of the knight will be more important. The knight as an elite soldier and also as a hunter of the zombies, keeping his lands safe and secure from the zombie hordes, keeping his own citizens from going all infected. This is a time when the Black Plague was running about, killing off hordes of peasants. Zombies are going to go around everywhere, honestly. So yeah, plate armor is going to protect you, because a zombie can't bite through plate or chainmail. And, the knights are just going to be able to keep hacking them down. Men-at-arms might struggle a bit, but with chainmail and maybe heavy gambesons, they'll be pretty okay. Alright, and now for the sword. The sword is going to be a very important part of the zombie apocalypse, because you have all these peasants running around dressed in tunics, a little light gambesons. You need a way to cut them up, so a sword is going to be the best. And a sword is often the knightly weapon, so it's good for cutting down these poor zombie peasants, obviously. I could see myself, or a knight, just going up to a zombie and just like, oh, I have a few peasants, and slashing his head off, valiantly, because that's what, knights do, obviously. Swords might be upgraded to, suit more cutting needs, but, the rule is going to be, more the same, obviously, as they were in the medieval ages. But still regulate the knightly class, because swords are expensive, obviously. Alrighty, hello. So now on to the last weapon that we're going to be talking about, which is the halberd. The halberd is used by the common footmen, the knights, men-at-arms, basically anybody. And it's the most unskilled weapon, but it's good all around. The head is used for slashing, the point, obviously, for stabbing, and it's lengthy, so you can stab a zombie from afar without getting too close, in case, to bite it. It bites you, obviously. And then in the case of a medieval sense, if you're also fighting against, survivors, rogue knights looking to, pillage and plunder, bandits, looking to exploit the zombie apocalypse, then, the halberd is a good choice for, local retinue and village militia. Alrighty, and now for the castle. The castle is going to be the most important part of a medieval zombie apocalypse setting, because you need a place to hide and run from these undead, peasants that are going to be running up against your walls. And a castle is a great place to be. It has high walls here. Normally a keep structure like this. And if you're very lucky, there's a village inside it like this, obviously. And also a church for your holy needs. The castle will be a place where the lord and his retinue will stage, forays into the countryside to attack the zombies. And it is where the peasantry will live. And then when it comes time for harvest, the peasantry will come out of the castle, do their harvesting under the watch of local guards and, mounted sergeants, perhaps. And then they'll take the food inside the castle and do all their basic business there. Peasantry stuff. Alright, medieval armies. Medieval armies are not going to be too large, especially in a zombie apocalypse where 90% of the population has been slaughtered. All the lords are going to be fielding maybe 100 to 200 soldiers, and all of them are going to be retinue-based soldiers. And a retinue is basically troops who directly serve the lord and are definitely equipped better, so men-at-arms and all that kind of stuff. Like this fellow right here, this nice fellow, he would be a retinue soldier, as was this guy, maybe a few of these big, guys in the back. And the troops would obviously be decked out, chainmail, bits of plate, helmets, halberds, swords, crossbows,
or anything they find, really. You know, if they find extra plate armor, they'll probably deck those. And yeah, the Lord want to keep his men alive because they are the ones fighting for him, keeping his castle safe, keeping his, filthy peasants safe. Mounted crossbowmen might be, one of the best soldiers you can possibly get in the medieval zombie apocalypse because they can, run rings around the zombies, shoot at them. Longbowmen would also be pretty cool. But yeah, gunpowder would make a pretty good source of explosive powder for wiping out zombies. But who knows if gunpowder is even going to be invented by this time? Even though the plague doesn't spread to China and kill all the people over there. Europe will be consumed by the war of the zombies as well as war of the survivors, and will likely not advance technology-wise, or maybe it will, because war and conflict often forces progression. So, if I was a medieval lord, I would definitely deck out my troops in brigandine, chainmail, kettle helms. This variety maybe just dipped more, like, what are they called? Vanguard kettle helms? Italian kettle helms? I don't remember. The ones that don't have slits, but they kind of, dip down the helmet more. Sort of whirling on a bassinet like this one. But, I would also have mounted crossbowmen. Or longbowmen. Personally, I'm very akin to, longbows. As well as halberds. Because halberds are awesome. And at this time, the castle is obviously the most important thing. And yeah, society would just, probably stay, stagnate, not progress at all. And this is my take on the medieval zombie apocalypse. This might be a short video, or a long video, I don't remember. But if you liked the video, please subscribe, and I'll do more what-ifs. Maybe I'll do a what-if samurai invaded Europe or something. Or the Mongols did not invade. Or the Byzantine Empire stayed in power, all that kind of stuff. Or what if the Aztec societies were invaded Europe? Oh, that'd be a fun one. Anyways, like and subscribe, and I have been the mighty BaronVonCHAOS at your service.